What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Magnum West here, and today you could tell by the title of the video, it's not really a new series or anything. I've done videos like this in the past, but this one is going to be a little bit more focused, and I want to do a couple videos like this just just to bring exposure, talk about action figures, and just have fun. But obviously today we are going to be taking a look at the amazing Yamaguchi Spider-Man over here on the left, and then we got the Mafex Toby Spider-Man over here, which I would consider to be the best Spider-Man figures from both companies as far as like technological advancements. Um, I no longer own the comic book Spider-Man just because I sold that figure a while ago. But honestly, that figure is pretty outdated in comparison to something like this. And I would say that by far this Spider-Man is way better articulated than that other one, just because it has, it's newer. It came out earlier this year, and it has those, like I said, technological advancements and engineering and stuff like that. So I think it would be unfair to put this guy against the other comic Spider-Man. But anyways, that out of the way. I chose these two figures just because I think that Revoltech and Mafex are the titans of the action figure space, right? Revoltech being known for probably the best articulation in the action figure realm, and then Mafex over here for having kind of a all-around very, very high quality, good articulation and good aesthetic kind of mix, right? But obviously, first thing we'll be taking a look at is the articulation on both, just as a standard. But we won't be going over anything like accessories or anything else that they come with, as I don't want that to be a big part of the video. So we'll start with my boy Revoltech Spider-Man, just because I do have a review for this guy, but I never did a review for this one. So just to knock it out of the way, this guy's been out for a while, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of posts for it. So I'll just go over it real quick, just kind of here as I'm talking. It's very, very good. If you have any Revoltech figures, you kind of know what you're getting into. And like I said, this guy's been around for a while. So if you want to see a review, I encourage you to look up a video and see everything that he comes with. But I wouldn't really say that that's an important part of this kind of video that I'm trying to do. As here, I just want to talk about the overall quality, the posability, right? Kind of the fun factor, what they brought to the table. Maybe even a little history on both figures, and then kind of, like I said, just have some fun, talk about action figures and stuff like that. I will say, this one does have a broken ankle here. This one doesn't move, so that won't affect the rating or anything like that at the end of the video. But just so you guys know, in case, just for context, if you will. But now with that guy out of the way, like I said, I reviewed this guy, but just going over it real quick so you can see what we're talking about. Got it right there. Look up that much. Shoulders go up yay high. Definitely a lot less than that Spider-Man. But shoulders. This is kind of where it gets crazy. Going backwards, the shoulders or the arms can go back really far, and then he has like an insane butterfly joint, which honestly, now that I'm kind of looking at it, I think it might be better than the Yamaguchi. But we'll take a look at it here in a sec. Going back, yay far. Going forward, yay far. Drop down. That figure does not have a drop down. This one does. So kicks up that much. Bend here, boom. So honestly, I know these figures are two different styles, but like I said at the start of the video, they're pretty similar as far as like, release date. I think that's the most recent Spider-Man from Yamaguchi, and this is the most recent Spider-Man from Mafex. That's out, right? I know they got that TASM Spider-Man coming out, which honestly, one thing I will say about this figure is, like, I know it's pretty much based on the Spider-Man 2 movie, but I really wish that they would have just gone full Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and did like the battle damage look from the first movie. Like, that would have been sick. But kind of here, first pose we'll start off with is the flying kick. You guys know this is one of my favorite poses to do on any given figure, because it just really looks really dynamic. And I mean, come on, man, like that Mafex, just buttery smooth, gets it very well. Looks very good. And that's kind of where I would say the first major difference is going to be, right? Yamaguchi may get better articulation in some areas, but it definitely sacrifices a lot of aesthetic. And even in some cases, it's a little bit over engineered for what it is, as opposed to Mafex, right? Mafex definitely does that sometimes too, but like, let's see if we can make it look almost identical. There you go. Kind of, I would say the Mafex, it can't really tilt the neck that way to where he's kind of looking over his shoulder, right? But I keep saying Mafex for some reason. The Yamaguchi can definitely, tilt his head that way and looks a lot more Spider-Man like, if you will. Like, I think that's one of the benefits of having a Yamaguchi Spider-Man is Spider-Man has always been depicted as having these like very like inhuman poses, right? Like an arachnid. Like they always draw him like kind of weird looking, like he has like weird proportions, right? He can get into all these crazy poses. I forgot what comic writer says that Spider-Man should never look like anatomically correct. He should always look like pretty exaggerated, which I definitely agree with. I think that's one of the like characteristics that I love most about Spider-Man. And we got that, jumping through the air pose, which looks great. And again, Yamaguchi is definitely going to have, that stylized look, right? Like, I mean, look at the neck. You can see like a big hole there. The traps are going into the back. Like, he has like a long neck, right? But it looks very good doing it. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Mafex. Go ahead and pose this guy up. But yeah, that Yamaguchi is definitely and there's people out there who hate Yamaguchi figures. I personally, I love most of them, but I will say that there's a few. Like, if you guys watch my Saitama video, you guys kind of know where I stand on that guy. I think that is probably one of the worst Yamaguchi figures that I've ever not only handled but also like seen. I think it's very like, that is like Yamaguchi haters like nightmare right there. That Saitama. But you see, you can't really get as dynamic with it just because it doesn't have those, cuts and those angles, if you will. Those joint, goddamn, dude's falling out of my hands. Those kind of like joint style that Revoltech has. Mafex doesn't share that. So it looks a lot more dynamic, if you will, on the Yamaguchi Spider-Man. This freaking camera is not working with me for some reason, but you guys can kind of see it there. So it's pretty similar, but like I said, the thing that Yamaguchi has, and especially with their weird butterfly joints, is you can make it look a lot more dynamic, right? So again, this video really isn't to like bash on one or the other. Just kind of, like I said, like a fun video idea I had, and something interesting I'd like to implement into the channel. And we'll get like kind of like a little, swinging through the air pose. And then like, man, I will say that I really like, sometimes I forget I even have this figure, but man, like the paint job that on this guy is like amazing, bro. Like, that red is like nice and glossy enough, but it doesn't look plasticky. And then the blue's kind of like matte on this guy, and then the web lines, like, goddamn, man, this guy's amazing. Now that I'm kind of looking at him. And then let's see, let's try to get a similar pose here with the Yamaguchi. And I will say, on top of like obviously looking different due to style reasons, the Yamaguchi's a little bit, you have to kind of work a little bit harder for the poses, right? But for the most part, when you do get a really nice pose with the Yamaguchi, it looks better than a lot of other figures, right? Like, it looks a lot more like dynamic. Like I said, like the Yamaguchi, the Mafex looks really good, right? Let's go ahead and get that thing focused. It looks really good, but it looks like a human, right? It looks like you could do this. Whereas the Yamaguchi has a very stylized look. Like, I've seen a lot of people use this Yamaguchi Spider-Man to make a Marvel vs. Capcom Spider-Man custom. And, that's for a reason, because this figure has very exaggerated proportions, very are like I said, stylized articulation scheme. So like you see the bend in the leg, you don't have that with the Spider-Man, right? Like you can get it a little bit, you can kind of get that same bend, but it looks like a lot more like a person, right? Whereas this looks a lot more like something you would see in a comic book, or like in a video game, kind of like Marvel vs. Capcom, which, like I said, is definitely something that's going to be up for preference. But for some people it's a must-have. For some it's like, what, I'd rather him look like a person. And then on top of that, I've seen people use this guy to make a not Ramita, Gabriel Delato Spider-Man, which looks amazing. And yeah, man, I think both figures serve their purpose, right? And then kind of for the last pose, I know I said we're only gonna do like 3 or something, but you can't have a Spider-Man that can't do the perched up pose, right? Which, believe it or not, there is Spider-Man figures in existence from some of these high-end companies that cannot do this. And honestly, while we're looking at the Mafex Spider-Man, the comic book Spider-Man has a very hard time getting this pose off, right? For whatever reason, it does not have, like I said, the hip mobility of something like this that's very easy to do with this Mafex Spider-Man is not that easy to do with the comic one. I might end up getting that one back just because I do like it, but it's one of those figures that is like so kind of like I don't know how to say it, like old almost. Like it is pretty old. I think that Spider-Man figure that I'm talking about from Mafex came out like back in like 2017 or something. So it's been around for a really long time, and Mafex definitely needs to do an updated Spider-Man figure. Like hopefully a more bulky look. Like that's another thing that I really like about this Spider-Man is, like, it being a comic Spider-Man, it has a much more desirable physique than their current Spider-Man. And I'm talking about Mafex. But yeah, like I really think that it's hard to pick a winner, right? And it's definitely going to be personal preference. At the end of the day, it's going to be, what do you prefer more? Do you prefer a well-balanced figure that has really good aesthetic and pretty good, far better than decent? I would consider like Marvel Legends or SHF decent. This Mafex is gonna beat most of those figures at very little cost to aesthetic, right? It looks very anatomically accurate if you're into that kind of stuff. Most of Mafex figures have very accurate to anatomy physiques. Or if you like a very hyper stylized, this like I said, this figure is based off of like a weird comic run. It's kind of interesting that Amazing Yamaguchi decided to go with this look, just because it's not that popular. But if you definitely like a lot more comic accurate, comic stylized Spider-Man, definitely go with this guy. So I will leave it at that. Kind of let me know what you guys think. Any video ideas, like I'm always open to it. I'm probably planning on doing a Batman video next, just because I have a lot of Batman figures. Batman and Spider-Man are probably my favorite characters from their respective properties. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys, Amazing Yamaguchi gang? You guys are, Revoltech purists, or are you guys Mafex purists? Which one do you go with? Like, they both, like right here that I have them posed in this pose right here, they both look amazing. And like I said, at the end of the day, like, it's not a, excuse my language, it's not a dig measuring contest. It's really personal preference. But, one is always going to outbeat the other. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed the video and you guys want to see more videos like this, consider subscribing, and obviously leaving me a like, so I know that you guys like this style of video and you guys would like to see more. But as always, drop a comment. Let me know if you guys would like to see anything or have any opinions, anything like that. I'm always open, to talking in the comments. And I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a great day. Peace.